Hi everyone, it's Bee here at Little Miss Bee Crafts, and today for Messy Monday we are going to be making this this card, and it is using tissue paper. So I cut out several circles out of 3 different colours of very cheap. It was what I had in my stash. I did try it beforehand to make sure that it worked, so I just kind of tore some off and put it on some watercolour card and wet it and make sure that it actually worked. So there was that colour and this lovely blue colour, and as you can see they've come out quite muted, and I love the colours on it. I think they've come out really beautiful, and then I've just put a sentiment over it, and it was so quick and easy and simple. Like I said, just lots of different coloured tissue paper. So yeah, I shall let you watch the rest of the video, and I hope you have a go, and I love it. Thank you for watching. So the things you'll need for this tissue paper card is a card base, and I'm using a 5x7, and then I've done a layer which is 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, so it's 1/4 of an inch the mat from the 5x7, and I've just rounded the corners because I just like the way that looks. Then there is a watercolour piece which is 4.5 by 6.5, so it's another 1/4 of an inch down, and all I've done is just cut some tissue paper circles in different sizes. I've just got some of my nesting circle dies, and I chose these colours. Now when I did these as a test on some watercolour paper, they did work, and the colours came out really nicely. They came out quite pastel-y. I just tested whether they would actually work or not, and what I've done is I've just layered and prepared them and put them on this watercolour card, the 4.5 by 6.5 watercolour card, and you have to be very, very careful because I just breathed on them and they all kind of blew everywhere. So you need to be really, really careful once you've decided where you want to put them. So all I've done is I've just put them, some of them I've stacked on top of each other, okay, and some of them I've just put singular, so there's no kind of other kind of colour underneath. Okay, so I've just randomly put them all over, and all we're going to do now, what else you need is some water, okay, and a paintbrush or a sponge or some kind of something that you're going to be, you're going to wet these pieces of tissue paper. So you could do this with different die cuts. You could just, I've seen it done where people have put stripes across, and people have put just put squares and ripped squares up, so it's more of a mixed media kind of look. But I thought I'd have a go at this one, and like I said, I have layered some up, so I'm hoping that the tissue paper underneath is going to kind of merge, with the top layer of tissue paper. So all you're going to do, and it is best that you use watercolour paper for this because obviously you're using water, all you're going to do is just wet, quite liberally wet each of the, now it depends what kind of look you want to go for. If you just want to, if you don't want a look that's too messy, these smaller ones I think are going to need holding down. If you don't want a look that's too messy, then I suggest that you just try and keep to the actual circles of paper, because I think it will start, depends on what kind of tissue paper you're using as well. Sorry, I didn't say that, did I? You want to use kind of just really cheap tissue paper. I think probably the cheaper tissue paper, the more it is going to kind of work, because I think that the kind of tissue paper that you can get, probably children's tissue paper, you know, that you can kind of get at Poundland, or you know, a kind of a, sorry, I was concentrating then. Yeah, so the cheaper the better, I think, with this kind of thing, because it will probably have a lot more dye in it. You can get tissue paper where it's got kind of just a coating on it, and it's not actually, and that tends to be the dearer tissue paper. So, you know, like I say, this kind of paper is probably better. Like I say, try not to get it too much out of the circles, and if you think you need to go over them again, then you know, just kind of give them all another liberal. It doesn't have to be too much water, but just enough to wet it all, and make sure that the ones, especially with the double ones, make sure that they're kind of quite wet, so that you, ooh, that one I didn't get very well, did I? Didn't get that one. Yes, just go over them again. As you can see, some of these blue ones are starting to, you know, if you've got the paper outside of them wet, then they are going to, and the colour will maybe run. But that, you know, just like I said, it depends on what kind of look you're looking for. You know, some of it is going to bleed out into the areas around it, really. I think that's got 2 pieces on that one, because it looks quite a thick colour. I think there might be 2 pieces of one. Okay, so that's what you want to do with that, and then I'm going to put that to one side. You can let it dry naturally. Okay, if it's not dry by the time we've kind of need to get on with this other one, sorry, I'm just trying to, so that it's not too, then I will get the heat good on it. I'll just get some of my, sorry everybody, tissue. It's just a bit wet on there. Okay, so this is the sentiment that I'm using, and it's just a happy birthday sentiment, and I think I got this one from Printable Heaven, and if I can find the link, and they've still got it on their website, I will put it down below. But you can use any kind of sentiment that you want to. You know, it could say hello, it could say love, it could say whatever you want your card to say. And this just happens to be a happy birthday one. And all I did was I die cut it, and I've done it twice, and again this is on watercolour paper, and then I want each of the letters to kind of have a colour, like the colours that are going to be on the actual card. So all I've done is I've got a piece of tape that is, I can't remember the name of the tape that it is now. Isn't this terrible? You know, the ones that you use for like your painting. I will remember that tape later. It'll probably come on, I'll write it on the screen if I can remember it. So yeah, so the painter's tape that you use, and all I did was stuck, I kind of got the stickiness of it by before I put the letters on, so it wasn't too tacky, and then all I did was put the actual die cut along it, and then I've just ripped pieces of the tissue paper. Okay, so I've just got the A and the Y to finish, so the A needs to be in yellow. I mean, you don't have to kind of, as you can see, I've kind of put them in an order. I've got blue, orange, yellow. You don't have to do that. And then all I've done is just ripped pieces big enough to go over each of those letters. That one's a bit too big still, so you don't need, obviously these are good for kind of using for scraps, and because you've got the tape like there, it will stick, so you've got that kind, it's keeping it in place. Okay, and then the next one is going to be blue, so just make sure that you're covering the whole of your letter. As you can see there, I've not actually done I've not done that white. You could use, I mean, could have used some of these circles that I've got left, but yeah, so just, and then all you're going to do again is just go over this with your water, okay, with your brush, just really quite liberally kind of wetting it so the colour is going to transfer from the actual tissue paper to the, it's really quick and simple. Yep, that one's been a bit too harsh. That one, let me stick some more of the yellow over this one. So don't go too harsh with your brush, or maybe got too much water on it, I don't know, but okay, so that's your sentiment. And again, just leave that to dry. I think if you leave it to dry naturally, if you've got the patience or the time, you'll probably get a deeper colour, okay? But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my heat gun, stop the camera. As you can see here, it's already started to kind of bleed out a bit. I'm going to stop the camera and then I shall come back when this is all done and dry. So here we go. This is the I've dried all the tissue paper, and it looked like we're at a wedding, because when it dries it starts to fly off, so there was pieces of tissue paper flying all over the place like confetti. But as you can see, like I said, the colours have come out quite pastely from the colour that it was. It was quite kind of a deep orange and a deep blue, but I just love the colours that have come out. And yes, some of them have run, but I think that adds to the actual charm of it, really. And the colours, I mean, the yellow's a bit subtle, I suppose, but you can see it, and I just think it's such a good technique, and it's lovely, and it's so quick and simple, cheap and easy. And yeah, and the actual happy birthday has also come out really, really well. Okay, so birthday happy, I don't think so. So there is two, I have cut out two layers of the die cut and laid them on top of each other, so it's not just one layer of the watercolour paper on this one, it is actually two. And the tape that I was trying to think of is masking tape. This was the tape that I used, masking tape. It came to me when I was off camera. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and stick the watercolour paper onto there, and then onto the card, stick the birthday on, happy birthday, and I shall come back and show you the results. So here we go with the finished card, and I think it looks so cute and lovely. I just love the colours, I really do. I love the mutedness, the pastel of the oranges and the blues. I think it's like a teal blue that's come out. And you can see the happy birthday. I just loved it, and it was so quick, simple, easy, but I think it's quite effective. I love the what it's turned out like, so I hope you have a go. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and comment and say that you liked it. It's, like I said, it's not an old kind of technique, but it's not a new technique, sorry, it's an old kind of technique, and I used to do this when I was a teacher with the little ones. We used to do kind of tissue paper printing and things like that, and painting. So yeah, so it's nothing, nothing new or original, but I just love the effect of it, and I loved the colour of these, and it just makes a lovely background, a bit different, not too messy, but a little bit messy for Messy Monday. So yeah, so thank you for joining me today, and I shall see you soon. Bye.